Hey, it's Chris again. We're going to do a video for you on locking down a folder that's located in a document library. In a previous video, we talked about locking down the library itself so that you had full control over exactly what groups and what people can get into that library. Sometimes people put folders into libraries and want to do the same thing. You might have a library that could be for HR, and 2 or 3 of the folders that have content in them are open to anybody for viewing, but they might have one folder that's carrying content that they don't want the average end users to be able to see. So just think of the audience for the lockdown folder as more exclusive, and that's what we're going to show you in this video. We're going to start off by going to the gear, and we're going to get down into our site contents. And since folders exist inside of document libraries, we're going to go to our document library here and we're going to open it. And what you'll notice here, we've got some documents in the library called, the actual library is called documents, but we have a couple of folders in here. When the folks build the folders, they are indicating in the name that this folder is open to anybody, main end users, visitors to the site, things like that. But there's a locked folder. And their goal with this locked folder is to make its permissions exclusive to a certain audience, only the site owner and maybe a couple of people from the department to put documents and manage documents in this folder. What they also would like is for the people that do not have access to this folder to not even see it listed in the document library. Now, when we did the document library lockdown, the steps were a little bit different, but the concept is the same. So when we do this one for the folder, we do want to show you that it's a little bit different aesthetically, but we're getting to the same location, which is where we control permissions. So what I'm going to do here is, I'm an owner of this site. I've got an open folder, and again, just another little tip here, we can move these around so you can see better too. And I have a locked folder. The locked folder is the one I want to work with. So I'm going to go to these 3 dots that are right here for more actions for this item. In other words, more actions I can do related to the folder. And when I open that up as an owner, I have a lot of options. One of them that we're going to cover for this video is manage access. As you can see, it's different if you watch the previous video about the library locking up. I normally would go to the gear and go to the library settings to do that. For the folder, there is no folder settings up from the gear up here, but by hitting these 3 dots here to get more action items for the item I'm looking at, in this case a folder, is going to do the trick. So we're going to go to manage access, and we'll go slow because there's a few steps before you get to that familiar classic permissions screen where we'll do our work. So I went and clicked on Manage Access. I get a standard panel. My next step I want to do is look for the 3 dots here for more options and click it. And I'm going to tell it I want to do advanced settings. Now when I click this, you're going to notice it's going to look a little bit more classic, which it should. You'll still see the yellow banner that's trying to tell you something. In this case, it's telling us that this folder is currently inheriting permissions from its parent, meaning anybody that can get into the library could get into this folder. That's why we want to lock it down. So the way we're going to lock it down is we're going to start by clicking Stop Inheriting Permissions. It's going to give us a little warning. We're about to create unique permissions for the folder. And once I do that, we still have the 2 groups that were associated with the folder before. But you'll notice in our ribbon, now we have a button that says Delete Unique Permissions. Same as with the library. What this means is if you decided to let this folder start inheriting permissions from its parent, meaning the library above it, again, you could do it, but think of that as opening the floodgates for all those other permissions that might be going to the library that you really don't need to be going to your folder. So we want to tend to, once we break permissions, in this case on a folder, we leave this alone. So as I can see right here, I have 2 groups of people that had access to the folder. What I want to do is only let this folder be accessible by the owners. So as a site owner, I want to do a couple things first just to be careful. First thing I want to do is see if I've got anybody in my owners group. So we'll click on it. And you can see I'm in here, which is what we want. So we're going to go back a little bit and we're going to get back into the visitors group, members group. You can kind of see here that these are pretty much empty, but the owners group is the one that we want to deal with. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to go just back on our browser a little bit. Maybe 3 clicks here. And get back into our area here. And then I'm going to go in and I'm going to do what's called disassociating this members group with this folder. So the way we're going to do it is I have a little box I can click. I didn't have these boxes before I set the permissions to unique. Back when it was inheriting from the parent, you wouldn't have these boxes available because most of that management of permissions would be being done at the parent level. In this case, we're going to move the members out by selecting the members group here and clicking the remove user permissions. Little box comes up. We're about to remove all permissions for the following user group to the locked folder. That's the name of that folder. And to not have the user insights member group as a part of it. So we'll take our OK on that. Once it does that, it's going to refresh, and you're going to notice now that only for this particular folder, owners can access it. Whereas for some of the other folders in there, anybody that could access the library would be able to access that folder. So we have successfully locked down this folder so that only the owners can see it. So let's go back home. And we're just going to get a high level run real quick through it, and then we'll finish this video. We're going to wait for the gear to pop up. Everything started at Site Contents. And from Site Contents, we actually went into our library. And here's where we had some document samples, as well as an open folder that people can access, even if, basically they're coming directly from the permissions they had for the library. But then we have this locked folder. I'm still in there as the owner, that's why I can see it. But I would be the only person able to see this folder or interact with it because we did lock it down. And that's it. Let's go back home. And in our next video, we're going to take it down to its next level, which is locking down a document or an item that's located in a library, or maybe it's located in a folder that's located in a library. Thanks a lot.